Regulations in MMA. The regulations in MMA should be followed by every fighter in the cage at all times during and after the fight. These are all made by the governing body of MMA. Some of the regulations are finger poking. Finger poking is one of the most dangerous illegal strikes, even though it's not a strike, that a fighter has been tempted to throw. Most fighters who have come from a background of Muay Thai use the open finger technique to push their opponent away, using the top of the head, just to gauge the reach advantage that they have, or not the reach advantage that they have. With the gloves of MMA being no cover around the fingers, so it's an open glove, there is a risk and potential increase of that risk of the one fighter being poked in the eye rather than not being poked in the eye if it was a boxing glove. The reason this is bad is that it can cause serious damage to the corneal and just the whole eye in general. Some fighters have known to have stopped the fight when it's going on because of a finger poke, and some fights have been finished due to a finger poke and a disqualification has been given. Points are deducted as well if this happens more than 3 times. 1 point is deducted from each scorecard from the judges on that fighter who committed the finger poke. If it gets to the extension where, as I said, the fighter can't carry on from a finger poke, then the fight will be deemed a no contest, and that will go on both the fighters' records. The second regulation is kneeing to the head of a grounded opponent. As if the grounded opponent is obviously on the ground, lying down, or with at least one hand or one knee, or one hand or one knee, then they are deemed as a grounded opponent. A fighter cannot hit with even a punch, an elbow, a knee, or a kick when the fighter has one hand or one knee on the floor. As the fighter who is not on the floor is in a dominant position, can create more power if they're kicking a fighter who is on the grounded opponent, because they're not having to swing high, which will generate less power rather than having to just basically soccer kick them in any part of their body. The reason this isn't allowed is because of how damaging the strikes can be, depending if it's a kick as well or a knee. In some cases, there have been bad cuts and bad bruises that have been caused to fighters, and some career-ending injuries coming from knees to the head. In one fight with Dustin Poirier versus Eddie Alvarez, the knee was used and the fight had to be stopped and it was deemed a no contest. But later on, they had a rematch, and instead of a knee this time, there was a legal 12-6 elbows, as I mentioned in the rules, which stopped the fight, but then it carried on after that, as they weren't damaging in any way to the opposition fighter. Another regulation in MMA is no strikes after the bell. This isn't the same as boxing, where after the bell, both fighters must stop fighting and have a 1 minute rest period before the second or third or fourth or fifth round, etc. As there's no strikes after the bell, this can be cheating in most ways, because they're gaining an advantage if the judges don't hear the bell, or judges consider that as a fair strike. It can lead to potential injuries, as all fighters won't be expecting a strike after the bell. So in some cases, when that does happen, they're unexpecting it, and it could lead to a knockdown or a knockout in some cases. One fight, it was Hector Lombard versus CB Dollaway, where he landed a combination, started the combination before the bell ended, and ended the combination after the bell ended, which resulted in CB Dollaway being knocked down and pretty much knocked out on the floor, and having to quit the fight as he couldn't stand, or didn't know where he was, or didn't know what happened. Hector Lombard was received a disqualification and lost that fight, and CB Dollaway became the winner. That is pretty much what happens after the strikes. If after the bell happens, if a strike is landed, in most cases it will be disqualification, depending on the damage that was caused to that opposition fighter. If not, there will be points deducted with that.